X minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
It's the Rocket Hour. Y'all are now tuned in. Time to hit the pick four that you'd love to win. If your money's coming slow, step on the faster track with your host, Ricky Pasternak. Let's go.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Rocket Hour. Unfortunately, we don't have any guests today. It's just Aaron and myself, which is fine. That's kind of the way we roll here. We had Dr. Miranda on yesterday. She quite eloquently told me she went 3 for 4 on, like she told everyone yesterday, went 2 for 4. I said as a response, because this is who I am, they don't pay you out for 3 for 4, unfortunately. So we were both losers, basically, is what it comes down to. Unfortunately, for people who followed along with Gulfstream, I sincerely apologize. If you followed along with Oaklawn, you were cheering as loud as I was yesterday because, as my name represents this morning, we went 9 for 9. And I told Aaron yesterday, and I told him this morning, I'm going to be proud of sweeping a card. And if you could sweep a card at the Meadowlands here across the street, if you could do it at Remington Park, if you could do it in Brazil, wherever you can do it, it's an impressive accomplishment. And so I'm still excited about that. I kind of wish we headed to Oaklawn today just because of what happened yesterday, but because of the weather, we thought it was better to go here. Forget about my name, because I think that's pretty easy, 9 for 9. Should have put sweep. Maybe that would have been easier. You have Picky Rasternak, and for anyone who didn't listen to Blinkers Off last night, obviously go do that after you finish up here. But Aaron also had Picky Rasternak on, and I think he had that Oklahoma sweatshirt on as well, maybe a different one. So explain the name to us, or is there no name behind it? You just wanted to have a little fun.
I just want to have a little fun. That's what I try to do in my daily life. No, different OU sweatshirt. Picky Rasternak, man. I'm like your Southern cousin today. That's me. I'm the Southern Picky Rasternak. So, look, I'm monitoring the Oaklawn situation. As of now, we're running, so that's good. But you just never know when it gets cold there. So, kind of monitoring that situation right now. All systems go for Oaklawn. But let's get going on Gulfstream. I think it's the safer bet for us. We did not want to do a card and then have it, be for nothing. So Gulfstream's where we're at.
Yeah, we're going to do a quick rocket launch segment. I have a few things we want to touch on, some funny, some not funny, and we're going to do it real quick. One of the things I want to talk about was something you guys talked about last night, and I think Jared was talking about the tournaments, and I was thinking to myself, I don't believe in jinxing, whether that's horse racing, whether that's sports. And one of the reasons, I don't have control, right? So, if I'm in a tournament and I need another horse, and Jared, remember, he was saying last night that he wanted to reach out to someone and kind of just talk through it to kind of, I guess, calm him down. To me, it's I get nervous and I get excited, but I don't think jinxing is a thing. Are you the same way? Are you a jinx guy? Do you believe in that? Or are you just kind of it is what it is, and whatever happens, I'll just roll with the punches?
When you handicap as much as I do and as many tracks as I do and the volume and it's every day, you throw jinx out the equation, because when you have 200 races a day that you're doing, you realize there is no jinxing. It's just a pattern and things happen how they happen. So no, I'm not a jinx guy. I'm not like that at all.
Yeah, and I agree. I kind of agree. It's we don't have control over what happens, right? Mm-hmm. It's if we're a trainer, maybe that's a different story. We want to keep the same routine with a horse. That's completely different. But we're just betting people with some information, but not a ton. We're not there every day. We're not a hot walker. We don't know. So I agree. It's when you do as much as we do, you're gonna think that the jinx is gonna come in. You'll have health issues because it's just too much. So that was point one. So I don't know if everyone agrees or disagree, but I think we both agree that jinxing is, we don't really believe in it. It's just kind of, it is what it is. If you're hot, you're hot. If you're not, you're not. I asked you this morning before we hopped on if you looked at race 2 at Gulfstream. I've never done this in my life. I took 6 out of 7 horses. That's why I asked you, and you're laughing. I couldn't decide through that field. We're not going to show it here. I just wanted to bring it up because I've never done that before, because I've really only bought a race when it's up to 5 just because it was difficult. But there was only one horse that I didn't like. Have you ever taken 6 out of 7? Can you remember anything off the top of your head? Or has there been even more where you just said, I'm buying the whole field and I don't care how much it costs? Have you ever done something along those lines?
You're talking about race 2 tomorrow at Gulfstream?
Yeah, I think it was the 3 horse that I was 2 or 3 or maybe 3 or 4. There was one horse that I was like, I don't like this horse, but I could have made a legitimate case for everyone else. And I've never done that before. So I just really wanted to, I guess, throw it to you or maybe to anyone else watching if they've ever done something like that in a multi-race sequence before.
It's a really tough race because it's a maiden claiming 3-year-olds going a mile. Some horses have been on the turf. Some horses have been on synthetic. Some horses have been on the dirt, but they haven't done very well. I had a tough time with that race as well. Yeah, but have I bought a race? Sure, absolutely. Many times. This one was close for me. Yeah, it's just one of those head scratchers. I call them circle races. You just go in circles over and over and over trying to find an angle. I don't know. I don't know who's going to win that thing. I think I landed. Let me see. Let me pull up what I landed on here. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, the only reason I brought it up was because we won't get a chance to cover the race. If we were going to do that, then I wouldn't have brought it up. But I just thought that was interesting. I've never done that before. While you look that up, and we could obviously multitask, there was one thing that I wanted to show everyone. The Saudi Cup, I believe, is next week. Mm-hmm. I wanted to show a few of the entries, and there was one in particular. We're not going to preview the race. That's not what we're doing. But there was something here. You could see this is the Saudi Cup, and this is their official website. So the Saudi Cup website, you can see charlatans on there, a lot of the European or Japanese horses. You see Nick's Go, Max Player. But there was one horse. I don't know if you guys can see it. It says Sleepy Eye Todd. Really? So he must have gotten a name change. He must have went to his government or his local government, and it's not Sleepy Eyes Todd. I don't understand how this happens. Have you? I mean, it really irked me. And again, I'm not in the best mood today. But Sleepy Eye Todd, this is on their official website. That's like Bob Beaufort, or that's like Chady Brown. We're adding a Y at the end. Have you ever seen anything like this where on the official website it's spelled wrong? I mean, I got this from their website.
Yeah, I had not noticed that. That's pretty hilarious. Yeah, Sleepy Eyes Todd is the name of the horse. Listen, the Saudi Cup isn't off to like the greatest start ever. I still don't think they've awarded purse money for last year's race. I think like jockeys got suspended for using the whip too much in last year's race. And now here we go again, and we've got Baffert, and we got Cox, and now, and it's like, well, what's going to happen this year? And now Sleepy Eye Todd. So just adds to the list of the Saudi Cup. Off to a pretty rough start. But listen, they got all of our horses. So, this is what I hate about American racing sometimes. Everybody seems in unison. It's like, keep your horses here and stop doing this. And I don't want the Saudi Cup to be a thing. Don't send any horses, and it's not a thing. Every one of our major horses are there. So if they're there, it almost has to be a thing, right?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I, because I'm such a mensch, I reached out to everyone possible on their website and said, you spelt Sleepy Eyes Todd wrong. So either they've ignored me or they've yet to make the change. And you never know, maybe next week I'll send something out again as well. It's one of those situations where it's like, just get it right. This is your website. This isn't like I downloaded it from a random person. Get that right. Yeah. The other thing last thing before, did you have who you liked in that race real quick, or did you not get to it yet?
Yeah, the second race tomorrow at Gulfstream, I kind of like the 2. And I went with the best connections. The horse is getting to the dirt after a terrible performance on the turf. Dropping down in class, getting a new rider. I don't know, just a lot of things. But you're right though. That one can go 100 different ways.
Yeah, so that's ultimately what I want to get at. There you go. You got a free pick before we do this. The last thing I wanted to get to was a future wagering pool that was put up, I think, by Magic. I don't know if you got a chance to look at it. I know you're not big into these things. Neither am I. I'm just going to scroll through it. I know your boy, Senior Buscador, is there. I like Roman Centurion. If you got a chance to look at this list, is there anyone that you would maybe real quick take a swing at as I go back and forth? I'll start at the top. Caddo River, 12-1, I think could be a nice option. Is there anyone that you would maybe, not that you have to, but anyone that you maybe thought was interesting at these prices, or are you just completely against it?
Yeah, I'm 100% against it. I don't think you should ever wager in one of these ever. And I'll never tell you not to wager on something unless it's this. I just think the chances of hitting this are ridiculously low. I mean, if you put a gun to my head and said, you got to pick one, I mean, I would take a high price on Senior Buscador 30-1, But here's the deal. He's going to run Saturday. If he wins, he's not going to be 30-1. He's not going to be anywhere close to that. You're going to get like 12-1 on him, So no, I just think these are worthless. Like I'm pretty high on Caddo River, but I'm not taking 12-1 on Caddo River, on February 12th. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, I would agree. The two that I would look at would be Midnight Bourbon at 30-1. That's similar to the Senior Buscador. And I would take a shot with Roman Centurion because I thought Roman Centurion was really good last time, 30-1. Why not? Yeah, Dennis said I wouldn't play this pool. I did see the last one, but I don't like them. I wouldn't. I'm not playing it either. I just, this is something to talk about. It's Kentucky, not Kentucky Derby time, but we're starting to ramp up week by week. All right, enough of that. Let's move on to today's card. This is going to be a good – no, I'm sorry. You know what? One of the things I was talking to Aaron about, trying to get these entries right in terms of Gulfstream, and this is – we're going to work through. We're getting to when you share the screen, unfortunately what happens is – there we go. Okay, so we're good now. This is the race 7, and that would make sense considering there are all these scratches. We'll scroll the tickets at the bottom. One of the things when you're sharing your screen so you guys can all see it, you don't get a chance to really see. They all come up with the same name when you take it from Equibase, and that's what we do. So I was kind of scrolling through. We're here now. All right, there are a lot of scratches. We'll get to it first. This is allowance optional claiming 75,000 going 1 mile on the turf. We'll start with all the scratches and we'll kind of talk about who's left. The 1 notable exception is out. The 2 safe conduct is out. The 3 kittens first love is out. The 5 advanced cash is out. The 7 hot blooded is out. And the 13 Top Gun Tommy is out. So basically what you're left with is 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So you still have about half the field. I'll throw it to you first. What happened with this race? Did you like anyone that was scratched out of here, or did this just make the situation a lot easier for you?
It actually made the situation easier for me. It's weird. I saw this and thought, oh man, did they take a race off the turf for some reason? No, they're still on the turf. It's not a surface change. Just that very, very, and I mean very rare occasion where 6 horses scratch out of a race where there's no change. It made it a lot easier for me though, because now I really do like the number 12 horse. What makes Sammy run? This horse seems very, very logical now. Very consistent horse. Got a first 3 back, a 3rd in a stakes at Aqueduct 2 back. Comes to Gulfstream, ran pretty well, finished 2nd in an allowance. And got beat by Tarantino, who came back to finish 2nd in the Fountain of Youth, the Holy Bull, last time out. So this is a pretty good horse and got beat by a pretty good horse. So I definitely am pretty strong on the 12, What Makes Sammy Run. Now, I thought about placing $20 win wager on this horse. I didn't do it because I am intrigued by the number 6, Easy Time. If you remember, Easy Time wins a maiden at Woodbine on the synthetic, looks very good. They immediately kind of put him on the shelf and say, we're going to point for the Derby Trail and we're going to Gulfstream. So they went to the Mucho Macho Man. He was too bad to believe in that race. He stopped 2 furlongs into the race. He was god awful. Now we're getting to the turf. I think the turf is probably where we're going to see him shine. He is much better than that Mucho Macho Man race. Jose Ortiz must think so because he jumps aboard once again. I think we'll see an improved effort. So I think there was enough there to say I'm going to go a $5 exacta box using the 6 and the 12 to kick it off here. Like I said, I am really interested in Easy Time. I think horses that get hyped and then they run poorly, sometimes at next start, they kind of have forgotten about when really it could have just been something happened and he just didn't like what was happening with him. So I think he gets back to a better race today. So I'm going to use the 6 and the 12 in an exacta box.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I don't disagree. One other thing to note, I did put the 12 on top, What Makes Sammy Run. One of the things to note, though, that just to add on to your point, Woodbine is an artificial track. So that's what you see. What I'm looking at, it's like a little diamond, and then there's an A. So A is artificial, also synthetic. That plays a lot like turf, a lot in a lot of situations. I think Arlington Park is the same. There are a few around the country. Most are just dirt and turf, but north of the border, they are synthetic. That was one of the reasons that I liked Easy Time as well. I didn't have Easy Time at the beginning. I'll be honest, I used the 3 Kins First Love and the 7 Hot Blooded for a price, but I thought Easy Time was a must-use because of all these scratches. So, yeah, he ran against Mutasa Beck, I think a Todd Pletcher trainee. It's one of those situations where he was just awful. Maybe it was the layoff. So I agree with everything Aaron said. I think to not use the 12, What Makes Sammy Run, would be naive as well. But I didn't stop there. I like the 4 Hyper Focus. I want to see what this horse does on the turf. First time turf is always interesting. I think he ran in the Bashford Manor last June. This is one of those situations to me. If I'm going to make a case for Easy Time, and I don't think Easy Time's as good as What Makes Sammy Run, I don't know how much worse Hyper Focus is. Hyper Focus likes to come from far out, but we've seen in these types of races, we're going to scratch down to what now? 7? They're going to be bunched up. This is not going to be a stretched out field, in my opinion. There's no one who really wants to be on the lead. Maybe the 9, Raison d'Air, whatever. That horse isn't very good. The other one that I wanted to take out of was the 10 Kiger, because if we're going to make the case for the 6 Easy Time, was Kiger that much worse? Not really. At this level on the dirt, 2 starts back, Kiger was solid. So this is one of those situations, and this is a ticket structure thing. Either the 12 is going to win and win easy, or I don't think there's a big difference between the 4, 6, and 10, so I have to include them all. I'll throw it to you real quick. If you were playing my situation, would you be singling the 12, or would you kind of use a few more to throw in and hope you get a price? The problem is the 4, 6, or 10, I don't know what type of prices they will be because of the scratches, but I think the 12 might go off at 8-5 to 2-1. Maybe I can catch a price.
Yeah, I think I would use the 6 and the 12, and the other horse that I would think about is the 4. I think the 4 is very interesting. I think that's a really good use by you. This horse, 2 races on the dirt, broke the maiden here at Gulfstream, then ran in the Bashford Manor, and then we haven't seen him. And now he's been gelded, and now we're switching surfaces. But all of this really isn't a bad thing. Pletcher knows what he's doing with these horses. This horse is bred to run on the turf. I believe, Feldy, you said it as well. Yeah, this horse should enjoy the turf. I ran aboard. I think the 4 is a really, really good use by you here. A horse I really like. The 10, listen, I think if you're going to go 3 deep, I'm with you. I don't know if you need to use the 10, so maybe I can kind of talk him into the winner's circle for you, Ricky, kind of do you a favor to start off. I don't know. I have more of a question mark about him liking the turf. I'm just not quite sure. The big key is Safi. Having Safi Joseph on your side is always great. I don't know. I don't love this horse as far as liking the turf today. But like I said, I really like the 4, the 6, and the 12. So I think you're right.
Yeah, I think when we break this down, for me, I just don't hope the 12 just runs them off their feet. Because if he does, that will ruin my ticket, not in terms of a price, because I could, even if the 12 wins, I think there are opportunities to maybe get a couple hundred out of this one, even if the 12 wins, maybe 150 or so. The problem would be I could have gone deeper with some other prices in other races. That's really what this comes down to for me. So I'm not rooting against the 12 because I'd move on. It would just be one of those things where I probably could have gone shorter, like maybe eliminating the 10. Before we wrap this up, I made a case for the 6 trying to get back to maybe a turf type of surface because it's a synthetic. But the 4, the 6, and the 10 have no turf races. The closest thing is easy time on an artificial, and I just made a case. It's still a dirt track, really. Like it just sometimes plays like turf, and it's sometimes similar. Some horses really do well off of that. For example, like a Golden Gate, they could come down, and Golden Gate's artificial. I didn't mention that before. Sometimes they can come to like Del Mar or Santa Anita and be a price because it's similar, and a lot of people don't realize that. So again, I just think there are a lot of question marks with the 4, 6, or 10. So in my book, if I'm not singling the 12, I need those 3 other for me to get by. And I don't think any of the prices in here make sense. 8, 9, or 11.
A couple of little things. We will touch on the 11. Somich 11 over the 10. 2 back, the 11 won at 5 furlongs, stretch out to a mile, faced a really tough Kentucky Pharaoh horse. That horse is really good. I don't know about the mile. That's my biggest question mark. But yeah, I mean, the 11 has some back class. 3 back got beat by Drain the Clock, a horse that we've mentioned even yesterday is going on the Derby Trail. If you're going to play a long shot, I don't think the 11's the worst. He's not for me, but that's okay. I think the 11's definitely got a shot. And will Julian make the lead? His horse got scratched, so we can't play that angle here like many of you guys, and I believe you did as well, Feldy, yesterday on Churn and Burn in the 9th that we'll get to a little bit later. So he did get scratched in this race, though. Yeah,
he was the 2, and that was one of the horses that I actually like because I thought he could get to the lead. Yep. I actually checkmarked that horse at a price, so unfortunately, real quick, I'll run through them again. There are a lot in here. 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, and the 13, Top Gun Tommy, is an MTO. So the 1 and the 13 are MTOs. They weren't going to make this field anyway. I think it's actually beautiful down there right now. So they weren't going to make it. The 2, 3, 5, and 7 are the other scratches that were actually entered. Real quick, the 2 we don't have to talk about not running. The 11, I'm not betting Muhammad J. Haludi. I don't know who that is. Not betting him. The race against Drain the Clock, I don't even mind because it was taken off the turf. So that's fine. Temple City, that's fine. There's turf pedigree. I'm with you. Can he go a mile? I don't think so. Can he run well at a mile? I should pose that question. Can he run well at a mile? Because he could run a mile. He showed he could do that. Mm-hmm. It was competitive to Kentucky Pharaoh, who's a really good horse. The Dania Beach Stakes is a good one. He won the stakes race going 5 furlongs. That's a massive, massive difference. If you want to make the point second off the layoff, I can't argue with that because that's a fact. In horse racing, you can't argue facts. You can argue opinions. I just think this is way too tough of a field. If there's nothing else to add, let's move on to the 8th race. Allowance optional claiming $12,500 for Florida bred fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and upward, going 1. We got a comment from Rashad J. Haludi. So this is interesting. I hope I'm proven wrong because I just don't see this horse. I will be the first to come on here next Wednesday and apologize if this horse, the 11, wins. Again, Aaron and I have talked about this before. We have nothing against any of these horses. We don't own them. We just kind of call it how we see it. Again, I would tell anyone, if they're sitting right here, if you were Todd Pletcher, I'd say the same thing. I really don't care. That's just the way I am. All right. I think we can make this quick. 2-6. Dizzy in our fantasy. I'm being serious. I don't know what you would do with any of these other horses. Dizzy finished second last time out at 7-1. That's impressive. Going to get IRAD today. Fine. I think that's a must-use. 7-5. What are we looking at? Even money? Probably. I mean, I hate this race because it's so obvious. And the 6, our fantasy, he gets to the dirt. I shouldn't say gets to the dirt. He's been on the dirt before, but there were races that were taken off. They kept this one on the dirt. Maybe that's the new 2021 plan for her. Wins by 5 at a much lower level, but anytime you're going to win by 5, and now you face state bred that were going from open competition claiming to state bred, similar conditions, 12,500, but claiming to AOC. Look, I'm not going to talk about anyone else. I use 2-6. I'd be shocked if the 2 or 6 doesn't make it through this one. What about you?
I hate this race hardcore. Like, I really hate this race. I've talked about my hatred for Florida breds on the dirt on this show all week. I hate Florida breds on the dirt. They always screw me. So, but we look at this, it's like, okay, where do we find value? It's a 6-horse field. That makes exotics hard to play, especially if you do like the 2 and the 6, which I do. I ended up landing on the $10 win wager on the 6 our fantasy because I think this horse is going to go off higher price than the 2. The 2's got Irad. The 6 has Tyler. It's not like Tyler doesn't get bet, but I think Irad takes the money here. And the 6, yeah, stepping up in class for sure. But like you said, when this horse wins, she's winning by big margins. Her last 2 races on the dirt, 5-length win and a 5-length win. So she needs to jump up in class. And if you want to go to her third race, or third last race on the dirt, won by 6 1/4. So the horse has 3 straight blowout wins on the dirt. The turf is where this horse has struggled. I don't know why they keep putting her on the turf, to be honest. But anyway, to my point, I just believe this horse is going to work out a pretty good trip, going to sit right off the speed and hopefully pounce and maybe get the jump on the 2. And then hopefully we get a little bit better price. So $10 to win on the 6. I am with you, though. 2-6, those seem to be the top 2. That seem to be the 2 everybody's going to go to. One upsetter that I'll throw in is the number 1, Tis Enough. If we get a little bit of a speed duel, I do think the 1 can kind of sit the pocket trip. Hector Barrios is a jockey who is known for pulling off upsets. And this is Florida breds on the dirt. So I think you do have to be a little bit creative here with the 1 and say, hey, this horse, if it gets kind of wacky, might be the 1 over, 4 and 5 to 1 that can win. So that's kind of my sleeper. But yeah, the 6 and the 2 for me.
Yeah, I to be honest, I think you could even tell in Aaron's voice, he's grasping at straws with the 1. We both know that this is a 2-6. I'd be completely shocked if it wasn't anything but this, either the 2 or the 6. Dennis says he would go less than that, single the 2. I just can't do that off a 5-length win, which in a race that I don't think is that much worse, to be honest with you. Like, condition-wise, it's not that much worse. And then he also says he doesn't see value unless the horse is 7-2. I don't think we're going to quite get that. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw 5-2, though, because Irad's going to hop aboard for Juan Alvarado. Irad is a better rider than Junior Alvarado, but Aaron has been harping the Junior Alvarado train at Gulfstream, but it's still an upgrade. Irad is obviously the best rider, I would say, in this race. Tyler Gaffalione, this will be interesting. This is what I would call, and most people in this industry would call, a rider race. Where are you after the first furlong? That can make the difference. It has nothing to do with how talented your horse is, but where can you set them up after furlong 1, furlong 2, or 1/8 of a mile? The first 1/8 mile, second 1/8 mile into the quarter, however you want to call it or look at it. Is there anything else to add? I don't even like the 1. The 1 lost to Dizzy, the 2. The 5 lost to Dizzy. And I think the 3 is just stepping up. The 4, there's nothing for me to add here. I think we could kind of move on. This race isn't very good, honestly, on paper.
Yeah, it's my least favorite race on the whole card, not just the ones we're talking about.
One thing I would add, if the 6 gets over 3-1, which I don't think she would, that would be a win bet for me. I would even include that on my pick 4 ticket, like aside, because I don't think there's that much of a difference between the 2 and the 6. So just keep that in mind. I don't think that's going to happen. But if the 2 for some reason is 4-5, even money 6-5, and you can maybe get over 3-1, which I don't think you would, just throwing that out there. Keep that in mind, because I think, Aaron, you would agree the 2 is not like 3 times as a likely winner.
Right. I agree.
Right. So just keep that in mind. Or even if you love the 2 and the 2 gets to like an 8-5, 9-5, you could even go that way. Just keep that in mind. And we don't really like playing bets like that where you're comparing prices, but I think this is one of those situations that you can do that. Let's move on to race. Oh, Mike had a question. Real quick, anyone press the 5, or is she? I'm maybe, but I don't know. She really had her chance last time at this level with 6 horses. If this was 10 horses, I would think a little differently. This just looks like a setup where honestly, like there's 6 people at the track and they're standing next to each other at the finish line. And it's like, I'm being serious. Like I just kind of see the same type of race. Aaron, real quick before we move on, anything you want to talk on that point or?
Well, I mean, if you're going to try to make a case against the 2 and the 6, you got to look at something like, is a horse going to be lone speed? Can the horse trip out? I think this horse will be on the lead. I just don't know if it's good enough to hold on. This horse got beat last time and had about a length lead, turned it for home and got caught. So, yeah, I mean, this horse may get the trip. I definitely would say that, but I do think ultimately she'll get caught.
Yeah, that's fair. I guess I would take her over the 1, but that's just my opinion. I don't think it's not a strong opinion. All right, moving on to race 9. This is a nice race. I think this was my favorite on the entire card. This is race 9, so we're now in the back half of the sequence. Allowance optional claiming 62,500 for fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and upward, going 1 mile, 8 furlongs on the turf. That is 2 turns. Mr. Halterman, I will throw it to you. I want you to help me narrow this down because I think I used 5, I believe, in this spot. You kind of tell me where you went or who you really hate, who you don't hate. Kind of help me narrow this down, help the viewers narrow it down as well.
I don't know if you can narrow this one down or not. We're going to give it a shot, though. I have a little bit of a sneaky horse. Number 4, In a Hurry, is my top choice. I'm going to play a $5 win wager on this horse for our wagers here. Listen, I love Shug off the layoff, especially on the turf. I think this horse was pretty good before the long layoff. Had a couple wins in a row, one coming over this track, and then tried the Here Come the Bride and got smoked, and then we didn't see this horse for a while. But the horse was 5-1 in that Grade 2 race, and now we show up in an allowance. And like I say, Shug will have this horse ready to go. Leparoux riding pretty good on the turf, so yeah, no negatives really for me. So I thought the 4, because of the price, made some sense. Listen, I like the number 5, Miss Turan. Listen, here's the problem, and I get it. Chad Brown, very slow right now, not having a lot of success down here at Gulfstream. Doing well at Aqueduct, but not at Gulfstream. If you've noticed, though, this weekend, Chad has a lot of entries. That's kind of the first thing that jumped off the screen at me when I handicapped Friday and Saturday. I haven't got to Sunday yet, but Friday and Saturday, Chad's running a lot of horses. I think he might have a pretty good weekend. I would not hold his prior struggles at Gulfstream against him. I kind of think he's starting to crank it up. I'm not saying he's going to win every race he's in, but I think he's going to win some. And I think this horse is spotted pretty well. Last time out, 4th, only beaten a length and a half in the Grade 3 Frankel at Santa Anita. So this horse is pretty well met for this allowance. I think you'd be crazy not to use the 5. So I like the 4, like the 5. I think the 2, My Gal Betty, I think the horse is in a pretty good spot here. I don't love her, but I think for a trifecta situation, even maybe the bottom half of an exacta, I think this is a horse you could use. I don't know if you used her or not in your pick 4, but I do think this is a horse that's going to come with a decent run. And I also liked the number 8, Sun Summers. This is a Ricky Pasternak horse, or a Picky Rasternak, whichever one you want to say. Just a really consistent horse at this level, right? 1, 2 in a row. Then last time out, Florida bred stakes, got 3rd, but just a really consistent horse. Won at Aqueduct 2 races back. I know you're going to love that. Tyler Gaffey on a board. That's just fine with me. So that's what I like. Those are my top 4 there: the 4, the 5, the 2, and the 8.
Yeah, well, I'm going to run through a bunch of them real quick. You talked about Chad Brown, and you don't have to convince me on Chad Brown. I'm his biggest fan, one of his biggest fans. I don't want to say biggest because I don't know everyone. What do you think, Brad, off the top of your head? I'll give you 2 trainers, and what do you think their win percentages are as we speak, as I downloaded this, I should say. Brad Cox, just off the top of your head, at Gulfstream.
Oh, Brad Cox just at Gulfstream.
Correct. Just at the meet, just off the top of your head. I'm not quizzing you. It's just a guess.
The only horse that I can remember Brad Cox winning with at Gulfstream is Nick's Go. So
Okay.
I'm sure I've missed a couple. I bet he's about like 8%.
Okay, he's at 17%. And I'm gonna get to a point. It's not to quiz you, it's not to get you wrong. I'm just gonna make a point. Shug McGahee is the other one. What do you think his percentage at Gulfstream is? Just off the top of your head.
I would say he's like 15.
Okay, and he's had a pretty good meet, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Chad Brown's at 17. So it's not to disprove your theory, but it's to add on to your theory that he's getting hot. His barn is not a 9% barn like it was a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
To your point about entries, this might be his weekend where we finally are talking about Chad Brown being the elite trainer that he is. Maybe not the Triple Crown type of trainer, but when you get on the turf, he's like on a different level. So I completely agree. I'll start real quick with the 2, My Gal Betty. I didn't use her. I really don't think she's all that strong, and I've been burned by the Eddie Keneally barn at Gulfstream way too much. As I've downloaded this, he's now 0 for 24. I'm going to wait for the first win. I am not taking 4-1 on the morning line with her. I know Jose Ortiz. I made a case for the pole in the Jose Ortiz boat, not doing it. The 4 In a Hurry, I love. The layoff is a concern, obviously, but you're right. In her last race, when we saw her here at Gulfstream, I thought she was okay. I didn't think she was that bad. It was 7 by 3 lines. So it was a blanket finish for the most part. I'm good with that. I'm good with the 5, Miss Tehran. Don't have anything to add. Coming out of 2 stakes races, 1 at Aqueduct, the Forever Together, I believe, and then the Robert Frankel at Santa Anita. Have no problems with that. Sun Summers, you're right, is my horse. That's a type of Aqueduct coming to Gulfstream and lost by a half a lane in a stakes race. State bred turf race. No problems there. This is wide open. The 2 I want to touch on, or maybe it's just 1. No, you know what? You took a bunch of my horses.
Yep.
The 11 is a long shot, Golden Curl. I don't know how good she is. I really don't. But what I will say is I don't know if anyone's going to prevent her from getting to the lead. This is a massive, massive price. But I've seen too many times these get into a merry-go-round race. There's a scratch as we scroll down. The 15 and 16 recoded movie Moxie. I just wanted to use the 11 because I don't think she should be 20-1. This isn't a play for me where she has to improve to win. She wanted the claiming ranks last time out, but I think she might just be better as a 5-year-old. That is possible. We've seen that. You taught me that a long time ago. Look, don't take what they did last year and just hold it, because sometimes these horses mature, male or female. It's possible that she's just maybe getting better. And that race at the 35,000 level, I really trust what Brian Lynch says. He thinks she can be competitive here, and I don't disagree. The other horse that I want to talk about is Choate Bridge. I thought she kind of fit in well here too. Corey Lannery, Brennan Walsh. I love Brennan Walsh on the turf. He was mostly a Kentucky guy, but as you can see in the group of 6, Churchill Downs, Kentucky Downs, Keeneland. What did you think of the 3 or the 11? Probably the 3. I would assume that would be the one you would lean towards. But what are your thoughts on those 2?
Well, the 11 is actually a Ricky's Rocket graduate. We talked about the 11 the last time this horse ran. And, I thought about the 11 as well. Because this horse helped me cash a try that day, actually. I think the biggest argument for the 11 is I agree. You look at this race, there's not a ton of speed. And usually these Gulfstream races, there's a couple, when they go a mile, there's a couple that can run early. This kind of looks like a New York style pace to me. And if the 11, I don't care that the 11 is moving up. If you trip out, kind of like churn and burn in the 9th race yesterday, if you get that perfect trip, you can win on the turf, especially if you've got speed at Gulfstream. So I kind of love that play for you. It's definitely a horse that I think I would throw on my ticket as well if I was playing the pick 4, or I am going to play the pick 4, but if I was giving a pick 4 ticket out on the show, let's be clear about that. But I don't hate that one. I don't hate that one at all.
And any thoughts real quick on the 3, Choate Bridge, and then we'll get to a couple of comments here.
I would take the 11 over the 3 because of the price. I think, the 3 is a 3 a more likely winner than the 11. I would say yes, but the 3 is probably going to be 4, 5, 6-1. And I do think, I don't know if you'll get 20-1 on the 11, but I think you'll get 12 or 15. So I think I'd take the 11 over the 3.
Real quick, well, let's get to a few of these comments before we get to the last race. Dennis says, Keneally's percentage, I don't blame you for not liking it too. And he throws that he's 0 for 26. Yeah. I'll take my shot and say this is going to be like 0 for 27. Maybe he has a few other on the card that I don't remember off the top of my head, but it's like, sure, I've been burned by this too much. Between the 2 or the 11, I'll take the 11 just because I'm not taking that type of barn. We are not doing Santa Anita today. We've done Santa Anita once. That was one of the comments. Unfortunately, we did Gulfstream. We could have done Santa Anita. A lot of people like Gulfstream. So maybe we'll do Santa Anita next week if they have a big card or something like that. So unfortunately, we are not. Obviously, there's my product that's always available Thursdays through Sundays. I have Santa Anita if you want full access. Aaron does as well on his premium picks, all on racingdudes.com. More than enough information. You don't have to go anywhere else. So sorry we are not covering Santa Anita today.
We might do it on Monday, though. If we're going to do a special Monday, Santa Anita, we did it on Martin Luther King Day. I believe we did Santa Anita. So we might do it Monday.
Yeah. So, yeah, well, maybe we'll get to that at the end. Yeah, we will definitely be doing a Monday. It seems like there's no Oaklawn, so it probably is Aqueduct or Santa Anita, and I promise you we will do Santa Anita if it's those two. Then Dennis said, I almost thought about her. Yeah. 35,000 claimer. I assume he's talking about the one. Yeah. Sorry, the 11. And Mark says the same thing. The 11, one poor turf start in the last 4, and then he bobbled. Yeah, I think there's a lot to like about this 11. For me, I just don't know if I'm going to get 20-1. We might be talking this horse down to 13 to 1. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. Definitely can be on the lead. And we'll give the 11 a shot over the 2, the Keneally horse, who doesn't seem to want to get a win for the barn. Here we go, the final race. There's one scratch, and that is a big scratch because I used the 7 password protected. It is the 10th race, the final race, maiden claiming 35,000 through 30,000 for 3-year-old maidens on the dirt, going 1 turn, 8 furlongs on the dirt. I'll be honest, I chalked out. I hate this race. I'd rather take a maiden claiming $2,000 if they were offering that at Gulfstream than this. I mean, $30,000 is being really, really generous. The horses that I liked, which are the 2, 5, and 8, and I'll let you talk on them. Their last races, I didn't do the stats for all of them, but the 2 lost by 8 3/4. It's not that bad, but then 10 3/4. Okay, that was his last 2. The 5 Flamingo Hawk lost by 8.5 and 13. Granted, that was with Donegal Bay, so maybe that isn't as bad. And Romp, 4.5 and 10 3/4. This race stinks. And those are the horses. Those are horses that I used that were morning line choices. So for me, I thought password protected was going to be my top choice. I'm not talking about this. 258. Aaron, what do you think? I'm not going into this. This race is gross. I'm not talking about it. I don't like him at all. I'm using a 258 more for I get Luis Saez, Tyler Gaffalione, and Jose Ortiz. All right, Aaron, you're up.
I'm going to steal this guy's comment right here. I like the 2, 5, and 8, but to spice things up, I played a 50-cent trifecta 2, 4, 5, 8, and I agree. The 4 will take control. A son of Will Take Charge. I think this horse has some speed. I think the horse can get out in front. And what do we talk about a lot on this show? When you're in a shitty race and you get to the lead, that's great because horses at this level are shitty because they don't like to pass other horses. So if the 4 can get out in front, it might be hard to pass them. So I like the 4 a lot here. Hopefully we get every bit of 10-1 and he kind of spices things up. You're right. This is one of the worst races, that we've talked about on the show. 2, 4, 5, 8 trifecta box for me. I'm just hoping to get lucky with this 4, gets out to the lead. Maybe he wins at like 5 or 6-1, and then we've got a juiced up try. But I don't like him enough to just play a win wager. So I went exotic here, trying to just, couple him with a few of the other logical horses and hit this try. It's a tough race. There isn't a strong opinion. It's a really good race to play a try, though, because I think, you can go a lot of different ways. So I think it is going to pay decent. But yeah, I thought the 4 would be the one that could spice things up.
This might be the worst race we've talked about on the show. If it's not the worst, it's top 3 or top 5. Because I can't remember a race where if you said, "Oh yeah, I love the 6 flex," I'd argue. I mean, this race is just horrible. I agree. There are a few comments that agree with you. The 4 has big standout pace. For the record, I put the 4 in 4th on my official product. This comes back to if the 12 wins in that first race, then I would have included the 4 for sure. I just thought that race was more important to go a little bit deeper. There are a few different ones. 4 and 5 seem to speed and fade. I don't know if they're going to hold on. None of these horses seem like they could do anything. There are a lot of negatives and very few positives. Saying should be tactical. The 2 and 8 maybe. This is interesting. Second start for the 9, Nixon Jaramillo extending out.
Yeah.
Any of these comments that you want to touch on real quick? Carrots or I guess it's carrots or carrots. That's interesting. I don't know who. Jack's their better farm name. Maybe Ralph Nix had something to do with it. I don't know. That speed figure just didn't come back strong enough for me compared to the other ones. Any of these comments you want to touch on, or maybe there's a long shot. Maybe the 3. I was thinking about the 3, maybe Weight of Glory, because if we're talking about a speed type of thing, the 3 seems like you can get out there. I don't know. I'll let you finish this race off because this is just unbelievable.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of people, Dennis and Nick both like the 9, and I think it's the same reason why I kind of like the 4. They're thinking, okay, showed speed going 6 furlongs. Now we're stretching out to a mile. The horse has a shot to be on the lead. And it's the same thing. You get on the lead, you can win here. And so the 9 makes sense at 20-1 for sure. Here's one here. Race 10, the 1 is a first-time starter with a weak field. Yeah, the connections for the 1 is the big problem. This is not, if this was a decent, let's say like the Clement Barn, or somebody like that through the source out. Yeah, I think it's playable. I'm pretty skeptical the 1 is very good based off the connections. Somebody else mentioned the 6. Why is the 6 coming down here for this? Something smells there. I don't know the answer to that. Why would the 6 come down for this shitty race? My guess is it's just a barn change, and here we are. We're here. So yeah, there's a lot of it's a race where if you see an angle, play it. It's really that simple because all these horses suck. And if you see an angle, no matter how light the angle might be, like, I can't believe the 6 shows up here. That's odd. Play it. I wouldn't tell you to do that if the 6 was in an allowance race with good horses, but all these horses are terrible. So any little angle you can pick up, do it, because this is just a horrible, horrible race.
This is one of those situations. My dad used to tell me this all the time when I was a little kid, when the horses wouldn't show up, like not literally, but like when they wouldn't show up in a race, like they just were horrible. He said, I think though all the rest of his barn mates or stable mates are going to go laugh at him or her. All these horses should be laughed at. Every single horse, when you see a horse like Nick's Go run, I'm sure he is laughing at all these horses saying, you are pathetic. And these horses are all pathetic. When they're walking around. On a serious note, Aaron got a great point. If you like any sort of angle for any reason, any weird thought process you might have, take a $5, $10 win wager. And if it's the 1, you might get 40-1. Who the heck knows? All right, we're going to end it here. All right, we'll continue to scroll our tickets. We have some stakes action to get into, and then we will recap. So we're going to get rid of the entries. We're going to just do a real quick rocket. We're going to go back to the rocket launch. We're not going to do rapid fire. That's blinkers off. But this is actually going to be a rocket launch. We're going to go quick. I know blinkers off. It's like rapid fire, but then it's not really rapid fire. We're going to be rapid fire rocket launching here. A lot of stakes races to get to. We're going to go a little backwards, unfortunately. This is just the way it's going. We want to try to get to Fairgrounds last. This is the 11th race at Gulfstream, and while I let Aaron kind of do his thing in terms of getting it together, I'll introduce the race just because, again, I'm kind of going off script here, so I'm apologizing to Aaron and apologizing to you guys because we're really trying to get Fairgrounds to be the last one because it's their biggest day. This is the Gulfstream Park Sprint Stakes. Real quick, I didn't listen to, and real quick, I don't listen to Blinkers Off before we do this on Friday because I don't like to be subjected to anything. I like to listen after, in all seriousness, and I encourage you guys to do the same. Yes, we're going to preview them now, but always go back and try to handicap it before you listen to someone else so you gather your own thoughts before you're swayed. I used to let that happen to me all the time. Blinkers Off is great. I think what we do here is great. Magic Mike is great, but you have these ideas and preconceptions, these thoughts, before you even look at it yourself. So I would highly consider going back, doing your own handicapping, and maybe re-listening to us or Blinkers Off, all those things. Aaron, can you get past the 5 Mischievous Alex here? Is there anyone that you'd be playing outside of the 5, or do you think this is a one-horse race?
I think it's a one-horse race. This horse came back like a monster last time out and really didn't have that great of a trip and still aired with Saffie Joseph now. Seems like a match made in heaven, right? I think Mischievous Alex gets this done pretty easily on Saturday. I don't think this will be much of a race.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I just don't know how. It's not a matter of him because I don't love Mischievous Alex. Obviously comes out of better races. I just look at the rest of this field and I don't know what I'm really getting. Admiral Lynch already lost to this horse. A lot of these horses, including the 6, lost to Sleepy Eyes, Todd. So if anyone from Saudi Arabia is listening, there's an S at the end of Eyes. I agree with you. I would use the 6 for second. I would probably play a cold exacta 5-6 if I was going to do anything like that. I think the 5 is a strong single. Let's try to get to the other Gulfstream race. We're going to kind of do this. Hopefully we're going to get this right in terms of the order. If not, we'll just play around here. Again, sorry for Equibase. Let's see. Yes, there we go. The other Gulfstream race. So it looks like kind of another one that might be a single. I'll kick it to you. Is this all about this? To me, is even a stronger single. I think Leinster is just one of those that's like can't miss.
Yeah, this was my lock that shit up pick of the week on Blinkers Off, and that's number 6 Leinster. I definitely think the horse is a single. You look at this horse's past performances, he is a big standout here. This horse almost won the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint, and now we're coming here. This looks to be an easy spot for him to pick up pretty easy victory. I don't think anybody else can run with this horse.
I have nothing else to add because you'd have to make a pretty strong case to persuade us from not using Leinster. I mean, you're gonna run in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint and lose by a length, and that's your last race. Good luck beating this one. The only case you can make is that Rusty Arnold's not having the best Gulfstream meet. I could train Leinster, and I don't think it would be a problem. So yeah, I'm kind of with Aaron here. Leinster and Mischievous Alex. I guess Leinster is probably the better single, but you can make a case that both are strong singles as well. Let's move. There's one race at Santa Anita that we will be discussing, and then we will get to. And here we go. And now this is the Santa Monica Stakes. This isn't a race that I think needs to really, you have to keep your eye on necessarily moving forward, but there's a horse in here that we've always loved, and that's Merneath. I remember Merneath back at Oaklawn when the pandemic first kind of started, and Aaron said, you got to watch this horse. You got to watch this horse. I was like, all right, he's told me that a lot. I watched Merneath at Oaklawn. I was like, all right, she's the real deal. Not that I don't trust what you're saying, but, everyone's got a buzz horse, right? And it's like Uncle Chuck, who everyone couldn't stop talking about. I loved when Uncle Chuck finished like 6th or whatever he did at Saratoga. What did you do with this race? I didn't get a chance to ask you if you handicapped Santa Anita, so I hope I'm not throwing you on the spot here. Are you shaking your head no because you haven't looked yet, or are you shaking your head no because you already looked?
Yeah, I like the 3 Fair Maiden a lot in this spot because of the way she ran over the track last time out. I just think this horse is coming on at the right time. It's the one issue, the horse won at a big price and I didn't use, and now I'm going to use on top at a shorter price. I do hate that. And that caused a little bit of pause, but I just think Fair Maiden just might be the best of this group right now. I had Merneath involved. I think you always have to get her involved. She ran pretty well. Really, she runs pretty decent every time. It's just she has trouble winning. She did win a big race at Keeneland 2 back, which was good, and it kind of gave you some confidence, but then lost to Fair Maiden last time out. I'm with Fair Maiden. I think she just might be the best of a pretty evenly matched field, I would say, though. There's a lot of ways you can go here.
Yeah. This is the first race, we talked about using 6 or 7 at Gulfstream. This is the first one where I marked down 8 horses.
Yeah.
I could legitimately make a case for that. My 8th horse is Biddy Duke. And if Biddy Duke won, I wouldn't be shocked. I don't think Biddy Duke is a horse that is the best. But when you're in I always like horses that go 7 furlongs when they've been sprinting, because I think it could be one of those races where when it gets to a mile, it's too much. Tough Luck Bob shows up here. I know that's your favorite trainer of all time. And we are going to get to a poll question next week about trainers. So stay tuned for that. Tough Luck Bob has the 1, Merneath, 5, Kahira. That's my top choice. I'll talk about her in a minute. And Golden Principle. I think you can make a case for Golden Principle as well. I thought Kahira, I should say, is interesting. Ultra consistent, obviously, that fits my boat. The last time, outside of her race in the 2 starts back, and that came in the Chillingworth Stakes, it was a grade 3 event, she just doesn't seem to lose. Someone says, which of Uncle Bob's getting the juice? That's a good question. Maybe we would just single that horse if we knew. I think this is really, really tough. I'm making the case for Kahira. You can make the case for Merneath. I think you could even make the case for a horse like Golden Principle and Amuse and Biddy Duke. I think this is wide open. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a nice price in there as well. So you definitely want to watch that one because I think it's going to be ultra competitive. All right. This is what we meant to do here, the fairgrounds. I'm not the biggest fairgrounds guy, but they draw my attention when they have a day like this. This is their first stakes race. We're only going to do stakes races here. We're not going to cover the whole card. Keep in mind, folks, this is going to be a rain-soaked afternoon. Some of these races might be coming off the turf. So if you are handicapping in advance, I'm warning you now, you might want to make a whole brand new handicapping sheet for dirt races as well. Just kind of warning you. This is the Colonel Power for 4-year-olds and up. We're going 5.5 furlongs on the turf. Aaron, I'll throw it to you real quick. These picks are going to be considered for the distance and the surface that they are scheduled. We are not going to give you dirt picks for a race that's on the turf. Obviously, if you bought the guide already, it will reflect the same thing. So Aaron will do the same thing. I will do the same thing. We're not going to give you dirt picks for a turf race because we don't have that information. All right, Aaron, I will throw it to you. The first stakes race, what are you thinking here?
Yeah, and once again, let me just reiterate, the guide will be updated if you bought it, so don't panic. The guide will be updated, so it'll be okay. Yeah, this one, I definitely, I'm just going to assume it's for the turf right now. It's pretty wide open as far as who's going to win, but I think there's 4 horses, the 3, the 4, the 5, and the 7. One of those 4 are going to win. It's wide open in the fact that I think any of the 4 can kind of win here. I went with Turn to Side on top. I think this horse will trip out. That's why I picked the 5. I think the horse is going to sit a perfect trip, and listen, when I have 4 horses that are about the same, that's what I go to next. Who do I think is going to get the best trip? I think this horse just kind of sits off the pace and pounces.
Yeah, and real quick, we'll throw this comment. Turf play the 5, and then he turned aside. I think we like turf aside as well. When Aaron says tripped out, that if you don't know what that is, that just means going to get a really, really good trip. So it's not literally the horse is going to get tripped. That's not what we're saying. Tripped out is just like if you have a ton of speed and you're in a field of 10 and 4 others have speed, you're probably not going to get a good trip. You might want to be in that tier B or C. So that's all he means, just to clarify. I didn't use the 7 Archidust, but I agree with you on the 3, 4, 5. The other one I threw in was Maniwa, and the simple fact, I want to see how he does again on the turf. He's undefeated on the turf, so I figured I'd give him a shot. I love Extravagant Kid. I really, really do. I don't love the fact that he hasn't won in quite some time, but I don't know. I think those races are better. The Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. We just talked about Leinster. Extravagant Kid was literally the same as Leinster, ran pretty much the same race. Yeah, I think Extravagant Kid is going to be tough, but you can make a case for a bunch. I completely agree. Let's move on to the next stakes race. It is the Albert Stall Memorial Stakes. I'll talk about this one first. I really should be mentally questioned because I didn't use an Albert Stall runner Delica in here. Maybe I'll change. And again, who knows what's going to happen moving forward in terms of races coming off. I thought this was extremely wide open, more than the other one. I put Secret Message on top. I don't want to talk about Secret Message because she's 5-2. The one horse I want to talk about a little bit is Temple City Terror. I think this is a nice price, and I don't think she's that much worse than a horse like Delica or Secret Message. That's just me. My concern is not from a pace perspective, because I think there's a bunch. I think Room to Finish will show some. Dream of You, I hope I said that right, will show some. Delica will show some. Secret Message could be tactically placed. When you're talking about closers on the turf, sometimes this is, Aaron says, tripped out. She might just get a bad trip. You really have to navigate sometimes, unless you're going to go 9 wide. His Glory, another one that might show some speed. Did you like Temple City Terror at all? I like Miz and Bow a little bit. Not great on the turf. What do you think of this race? Did you see this one wide open, or do you kind of think Secret Message is just kind of a top target?
Miz and Bow is not going to run, unfortunately, because that was my horse that I had on top. She's going to run at Oaklawn today. So that's another big problem. There's a lot of cross-injured horses on this freaking card, which is going to get annoying. When she scratched, I kind of landed on the number 2 Temple City Terror. I know Jared also landed on the number 2 Temple City Terror. So I don't think we're going to get 12-1. We're probably going to get half of that. But yeah, I landed on this horse. Last time out, that was just a horrendous trip for her. I think with a little bit better trip today, gets Flo aboard. I love that. So I think Temple City Terror is very interesting at 12-1.
Yeah, I think someone said 9-10-2. I don't disagree. Dennis says he took the 11.
The 11 is not going to run, Dennis. They're going to scratch the 11.
Okay, so and I talked about this yesterday with Aaron.
It's a huge problem because when they draw this card, these damn trainers, they'll enter races here and then they'll enter races elsewhere. And then if you don't follow Marcus Hirsch on Twitter, you have no idea what's going on. So the 11 is out, and Dennis, I just learned about it last night. So it's bullshit. So be ready to really re-handicap this card when the scratches come out.
Yeah, it's just one of those situations. I don't know about these scratches really either until, like, Aaron had told me yesterday. It really stinks that this happens. Like, we're not talking about allowance races. Like, we're talking about some of the best stakes races on one of their best cards. So let's try to get that figured out moving forward. We're asking all the other trainers. It would just help us out a lot when you're trying to do picks. Mineshaft Stakes, Grade 3, Race 10. Aaron, I'll throw that to you. I assume you are going to single Maxfield.
Yeah, I just think Maxfield is going to be the best here. I think he's just too good for these. I did play the 1 in a pick 4 on the card, but yeah, the 4 Maxfield going to be my single in the pick 5. I think this horse has got a huge future. And listen, if he wins here, you can start making a case that he is top 2 or 3 older male in the country right now. I mean, we're light in that division at the moment, but I think he could step up and be that horse.
Yeah, I completely agree. I could make a case for a few others. Maxfield, I believe, I'm trying to figure this out here as I'm looking. Maxfield hasn't lost. He's still undefeated. I know we haven't really seen a ton of him. He's 4 years old, making his first start, but he still hasn't lost. So if you want to make a case, who would you do it with? Wells Bayou? I mean, like, I just Sonneman. Like, I just Blackberry Wine. To me, before we wrap up, if you like Wells Bayou, then you like Sonneman and Blackberry Wine. Or if you like one of the other 3, then you like them all. So, sure, if you want to throw out Maxfield and say he's going to lose, this is going to be his time, fine. I would disagree. And then we get to the next race, and who do you know? Blackberry Wine is in there again. This is really, really nice that trainers do this to us, so we kind of have to guess where they're going to show up. The Fairground Stakes, Grade 3. going a mile and an eighth on the turf. So that's 9 furlongs on the turf. I'll be honest. I assume Blackberry Wine will not be in this race. That's just my guess. Horrible, really, on the turf. So I didn't even use Blackberry Wine in this spot. I really, really like Logical Myth. I am not using Factor This. The reason I'm not, I think there's going to be a lot of speed. And I think Logical Myth, as Aaron would say, is going to trip out. Factor This might win, and might win easily. And I might just be sitting here twiddling my thumb saying, how did I mess this one up? Am I nuts for not using Factor This? Aaron, I'll throw it to you.
No, I really don't think you are. I think Factor This is a horse that's kind of going the wrong way. I would use him very defensively, but I went with number 2 Set Piece, the other Brad Cox horse, on top. I think this horse is one that Brad has got figured out. I like that Florent Giroux jumps aboard here, number 1 rider for Brad, and I think if they're going to run one race on the turf, it's going to be this one. They're going to try to anyway. And I think this horse will like a soft turf. So I'm really all about Set Piece here to pull off an upset. And Logical Myth is another one as well that I think can pull off an upset. So I'm with you. I think the theme of this is to try to beat Factor This, and I think we absolutely can.
Yeah, I don't disagree with anything you just said. I also believe we can beat Factor This. Yeah. So we have a couple more races. Rachel Alexander Stakes. I think I'll speak for both of us. Travel Column, right? Or is that where we are? Is there anyone else you want to talk about?
Yeah, I think she's going to be super tough to beat. When you look at that race last time out in the Goldenrod, wow. I mean, got stopped, bumped, checked, still won. I'm really excited to see this horse run. I don't think the slop will hurt this horse at all. It shouldn't anyway. I think the 8 might be like Kentucky Oaks good. So we're going to see, though. Got to take the step, right? We've seen the horse at 2. Got to take the step at 3. But I'm really pumped for Travel Column.
Yeah, I agree. If I had to pick a horse for second, it would be Charlie's Penny. It wouldn't be Clairiere. I would put Clairiere third. I think Travel Column is a special type of filly, and I think we're about to see that. Finally, the Risen Star. I texted Aaron yesterday, and I said this might be the most competitive Risen Star stakes that we've seen in quite a long time. I think you could, talent-wise, you can make a case that 3, 4, 5 of these horses could make the gate just on talent. Maybe points-wise they won't, but just on talent, I'm all in on Midnight Bourbon. I said this at the very beginning of the show. I really liked what he did in the Lecomte. He beat Proxy and beat Mandaloon. I know you talked about Proxy a little bit last night. Again, I didn't listen to your Risen Star picks because I wanted to wait to do this. Now that we're here, who are you on? I know your boy, Senior Buscador, will probably be one of your top choices considering you own him in the fantasy league. Which way are you going?
Yeah, that's where I'm going to go. I'm really excited about him. I'm nervous for sure about the race. He's not really a horse that is the stereotypical, win a Derby prep, win the Derby itself. His connections are not going to jump off the page at you. His running style is not how you win these big races. But I think he has a ton of ability. And I thought his Remington Park Springboard Mile win was super impressive. And I know a lot of people have questioned the speed figure that came back from that, and I get it. But the deal is they ran 2-3 races at a mile that night, and he was simply much, much faster than the other races that night. So the speed figure should be pretty solid. There shouldn't be a lot of guesswork involved in those. So I think that number, if he can run back to that, if we can kind of see him progress, I think he's going to be awfully tough. So I'm excited for Senior Buscador. I'm nervous, but he's got to be my pick. I've got him ranked up pretty high there.
Real quick, we'll talk on a few comments before we head out here. Dennis says he went with the 4. Carrillo, I think this would take a big step up, but he likes a 2, 5, 6, or 11, all horses that we like. Feldy Man says he likes a horse that's run on the slot before. I mean, making his first start at 3, who knows? He would have to take a big step up, big step up. Who knows? All right, so before we wrap up here, that was just our fairgrounds coverage. Aaron has a guide that he worked so diligently on, got it to Magic. It's all out, ready to go. So you can get that. As he talked about earlier, if races do come off the turf, which we kind of anticipate that they are, just based on how much rain they got yesterday, how much they're supposed to get today, and I think tomorrow as well. It's just like a monsoon down there in New Orleans. He will have that updated. More Magic will get that, or whoever. You guys will be able to access it. It will be updated, so don't worry about that. Today, we just covered Gulfstream, so good luck today. My stuff is out as well for today. Gulfstream, Oaklawn, Santa Anita. Tomorrow, we head to New Orleans to cover that track. Unfortunately, no Oaklawn for the rest of the weekend, which is really upsetting outside of today, just because they have bad weather there too. Aaron talked about it yesterday in great depth, how much weather they're getting. He's in that area. So we have a lot to do on our end. So we are going to sign off here. Unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to recap for you guys. Long story short, Shamrock, it stinks. Race 9. If you want to watch that, you could do that. It ruined a lot of tickets. But on a serious note, everyone, good luck. Maybe we'll get a chance to do a live stream tomorrow. We're not sure if there are plans for that or not. We will, I would say 99%, we will be doing something on Monday, and it's going to be at Santa Anita most likely, as long as Aaron and I can both do it, but we're horse racing nerds. I'm sure we will be able to do it. So catch my product. There's an article, free Gulfstream pick 4, similar to here. It's the same thing, but there's a $3 ticket as well if you want to go a little bit shorter and really try to boost your prices. Aaron has his stuff every day, whether you want to bet Brazil, Mexico, or Japan. No, I'm kidding. He doesn't have international tracks. He has everything here. Top 4 choices, exactas, multi-race, everything you want. So check that out. Again, check the guide out. It will be updated tomorrow as soon as possible. Everyone, good luck. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Always reach out with your concerns, questions, what you don't like, what you do like. And we will see you guys next Monday. That is planned. We are planning to do Santa Anita. We will reach out social media-wise if we are not doing that, but that is the plan right now. Everyone, have a good weekend. Good luck if you're betting the Risen Star, whatever you're betting this weekend, today through Monday, because it's a 4-day weekend as well. Good luck, everyone, and we will see you guys Monday morning, bright and early at 11 a.m., covering the late pick 4 at Santa Anita.